November of 2017, the Board of Regents voted to dissolve the UW colleges, which is an institution with 13 campuses that house our freshman, sophomore students who choose to go to a 2-year experience. They decided to dissolve that and to assign campuses to other 4-year institutions which are geographically close to those campuses. So you have 13 campuses which are being assigned to 7 different receiving institutions across the system. And UW Oshkosh has the good fortune of being joined with UW Fond du Lac and UW Fox Valley. So these are 2 of the strongest of the 2-year campuses in the system. And we are thrilled, and the reason is that we are going to create a new university from this that will allow students in this area, the communities in this area, to access certificates, associates, baccalaureates, masters, and doctorates in a single institution. So we really think this is going to be a powerful combination that's going to drive the economic and quite frankly, the personal prosperity of this region.
Right after the announcement by UW System of the restructuring, UW System itself began to put together the groups that would see at least the first phase of this restructuring through. It's an immense process. It's a big process, whether we're talking about here in the Lake Winnebago region or across some of the other UW System institutions. The timeline itself is complicated. Part of the reason being, when we started this process, we were sort of in the middle of an academic year, and so we have spent the first 9 months really planning for a transition. So next year, what we are calling the 18-19 academic year is really our transition year. Many of the processes that have been used by the UW colleges will remain in place for next year, but as we're seeing, there are also some things that will be changing. There are some things that are not changing, and that's the way that students are behaving. Students can apply to, be accepted to, and enroll in classes at any of the 3 locations in Fond du Lac, in Oshkosh, and in the Fox Valley campus in Menasha. And for students who are enrolling at Fox and Fond du Lac, we're taking applications, we're enrolling students in classes, and it's business as usual. In fact, for students, many of the things that they're familiar with about the UW colleges will look the same for this upcoming academic year.
Students in this region, it's Lake Winnebago, the Fox Valley and beyond, they all consume higher education a little bit differently, and that we really need the kind of institution that will provide multiple pathways. So now we have pathways into higher education up and down Lake Winnebago that allow students to access campuses, to really literally to be on an access campus where the tuition is going to be lower and the level of student support they receive for learning will be higher. So we have students that will thrive in that environment and then can seamlessly transition into a baccalaureate program either on the same campus in select majors or transition to the Oshkosh campus. So in a way, we're going to be the best of both worlds in that we'll have a robust access mission that allows students to come in a more affordable way with more support and the traditional baccalaureate residential experience that we have here in Oshkosh.
We've been through a lot of changes, and the most recent change that we went through 2.5 years ago through regionalization has really worked in some ways, but what we did see were, as a result of the budget reductions, declines in services or a different way of operating services for students and for faculty and staff on our campuses. One of the hopes is that some of those changes will perhaps be reversed, or at least if they're not reversed, that we have a chance to think about how to provide services for students a little differently, because students across our new university will all be with the same university and will want to be able to provide a level of services that enables them all to succeed. We're referring to the Fox and Fond du Lac campuses as our access campuses. Those are campuses that will have a sort of philosophical feel where students, where first generation students and students who are trying out college for the first time, returning adult students, students, the typical audience that we have been serving in Menasha since 1933 will be able to come to the campus, experience the small class sizes, but also have the chance to complete baccalaureate degrees at that campus. And that's important when we look at the nature of the students in this area. Many students are place-bound. They don't have the ability to perhaps travel across the state to complete a baccalaureate degree. And so as we look to our Access mission, it's really about providing pathways for students to enhance their own educational ability.
I think that we're very fortunate to have these three campuses coming together to form one university, because it's going to create opportunities that each of the campuses by themselves would have never been able to create. The idea of having a physical presence in the Fox cities with baccalaureate degrees and master's degrees, select ones in the future, and the same in Fond du Lac, allows us to extend higher education across different communities at a much more affordable rate than if we had tried to do this on our own. We have, I think, one of the stronger joinings simply because of the physical proximity of the three campuses. You have Fond du Lac, which is a half hour to the south of Oshkosh, and you have Fox Valley, a half hour to the north of Oshkosh. So it's really 1 hour from campus to campus. So we have a relatively compact joining going on, and as a result, we're going to really be able to concentrate resources on this valley.
This campus in Oshkosh is actually the biggest receiver of transfer students from Fox and Fond du Lac of all of the campuses within the UW system. So we've had that history, and not only have we had a history of transferring a lot of students, we've also had a history of the help that students look for when they transfer as well. Given that students will be, if they choose to, moving from one campus to another, we're not going to really refer to it as a transfer. But what we do have to do, and the piece that we have to work on, is to make sure that we respect the process of classes moving from one location to another. That's a large piece of work, because at the moment our classes may look the same, but they're not always the same, and it's our determination to make sure that process is improved for students, as it should be across the whole of the UW system.
I'm incredibly proud to have been a part of this particular process because of the high degree of transparency and collaboration, not only within the institution and with the two campuses, but also with our community partners. And that we have advisory groups that we consult regularly with local businesses and industry. The new university that we're putting together is really going to be beneficial to the economic diversity and overall prosperity of the region.
Oshkosh Today is supported in part by the Friends of OCM, Aurora Healthcare, 855 North West Haven Drive, and House of Flowers, 1920 Algoma Boulevard.